So as you heard, my name is Philys Shance. And before I tell you why I'm here, can you hear me?
Yes.
I would like to ask if anyone present knows the significance of this sweater I have. Bob, That's right, my father, Bob Unkefer, made this sweater. I'm here to tell those of you who do not already know that my father, the legendary Robert Unkefer, a pioneer in the field of music therapy, liked to knit in his spare time. In fact, Bob Unkefer came to MSU in 1956 to help create the world-renowned MSU music therapy program. Didn't only knit in his spare time. Bob liked to bring his knitting with him to important meetings like these. When he sat through the exciting and eventful first decades of this profession, he was knitting. In board meetings, he was knitting. If he wasn't playing poker, he was knitting. As far as I know, he never brought his knitting to class with him, but if he did, I'm sure there's people here that can set me straight. Anybody?
No, but he knitted in the backseat of my car because when we went to the regional conference in Eau Claire, he and Dr. Bartlett drove home with me, and so they were sitting in the back and another student sitting, and he was knitting there.
Yeah. Now, just so everyone is clear, we are talking about the 60s and the 70s here, when gender roles were more narrowly defined. My father sat through broad-based strategic planning meetings with his knitting needles, clicking away like an old grandmother's. He told me years later that male colleagues would ask him, "How can you do that? How can you sit there and knit?" His answer would always be, "I have 5 children." Today, one of those children is wearing a sweater he made in recognition of his individuality and drive, in recognition of his acceptance and perseverance. I am here as a member of the Advocates for Music Therapy Education, or AMTE. We are the group that formed in response to the closing of the music therapy program at Michigan State. Perhaps you haven't heard from us for a while, but AMTE asks that I inform you that we are still here. We of AMTE are alive and well. We are as committed as ever to securing a future for music therapy at Michigan State. We want you to know that fighting to save MSU music therapy is not a lost cause. We may be holding on by a thread, but we are holding on. The committed volunteer leadership of AMTE thinks I can motivate all of you to action. I guess they figure that anyone old enough to know my dad will be motivated to act. All I need to do is remind the distinguished among us that Bob Unkefer would be leading the charge if he could. So far, the younger, less distinguished therapists present, those of you not old enough to have studied with my dad, may only feel motivated to take up knitting. I'm going to try to change that. For me, working with AMTE and getting to be here with all of you tonight is like having a part of my father back. I feel very honored to be here and to be involved, but I have to admit I feel a little out of place. I have no real expertise on the topic of music therapy or on the music therapy program at MSU. Each one of you could talk, sing, and play circles around me. So all I have to offer from up here tonight is an outsider's viewpoint. Please allow me to tell you what it looks like from the outside. These are the facts, and they are facts from my viewpoint. First of all, this economic downturn we are living through has happened to all of us. Everyone, including every college on the globe, has been hit by a budget crisis of some kind or another. But not everyone is closing programs. I'm sure many of you teach in programs that are going strong, like Michael. In fact, there are a number of other programs at Michigan State that were slated for moratorium that have since been saved. My own program, Veterinary Technology, has been saved. Next, at Michigan State University, the general administration, controls the Board of Trustees, and both groups are blinded by the fear of a shrinking endowment and by shrinking support from the state. They are so blinded by this fear that they are unable to see reason. They are unable to follow the logic that the way to help the economy is to send out more graduates who are actually able to get jobs. As I understand it, MSU's music therapy program has been able to boast that 100% of their graduates have found employment. The statistics for the overall College of Music are not so impressive. Apparently, the university administration can't follow the logic that more people employed means more tax dollars available for higher education. It seems elementary to me. Another outsider's viewpoint is that the College of Music at MSU believes that music therapy is not good enough for their college. I have heard from music therapy students that the performance faculty feels they are wasting their precious time by teaching music therapy students. Now, I know from hearing my father complain decades ago that this is not a new attitude. But right now, with the College of Music envisioning their future as a music conservatory located at the Cow College in East Lansing, the sentiment is much more conspicuous. Just as the faculty neglects music therapy students, the College of Music administration has neglected the music therapy professors. It appears to me that Dr. Tins and Professor Smeldikoff have been without support for a very long time. Even more distressing is that the serious musicians at Michigan State would prefer not to have their creative genius disturbed by the presence of disabled people in their hallowed halls. I know this because I heard directly from students who witnessed faculty members openly mocking with their words and unbelievably with hateful imitations the developmentally disabled. It is clear to me that they want you and your kind out of the College of Music. But a more important observation from the outside is that the College of Music is not good enough for music therapy. Woo! Let's face it, you guys are way past all that highbrow stuff. You know better than I that music therapy has grown in so many amazing, vital new directions. You have outgrown the one-dimensional school of music. It is time for a new home. AMTA is beginning to look forward to a future for music therapy in a different college at MSU. We are strategizing coalitions and envisioning a new upscale neighborhood in the College of Medicine, the College of Nursing, the College of Education, to name a few. We are asking that if you or someone you know has had experience building new coalitions across colleges, that you jump on board to guide us. If you have leadership skills of any kind, jump on board. We are seeking volunteers with all kinds of expertise to join an alumni coalition. This alumni coalition will lead AMTE and MSU Music Therapy in these exciting new directions. Help us find a new home, a better home. We are inspired, but we can't do this without your help. I am inspired because I feel in my heart that this is right. Music therapy is bigger than the College of Music. Music therapy takes music and carries it to a new level, a clinical level, a curative level, a higher level. I have just witnessed this firsthand. My brother, Robert Bruce Unkefer, just took a clinical journey through pancreatic cancer. The steps on this ultimate journey took him through chemotherapy, through radiation therapy, through multiple hospitalizations, and finally through hospice care. We followed him through this journey as we could, not feeling his pain, but feeling our own kind of pain all along the way. Medical science did what it could for my brother, but in the end, it could not cure him, but only help him along these steps. The most help he got came from hospice at the end. And the only curing that took place came from the musical hands of Virginia Anderson. Ginny is the music therapist for the hospice that took care of my brother. We only got to see her twice. The first time she was there, I witnessed my niece, my brother's oldest daughter, isolating herself. Something was going on for her that made her unable to join us and unable to face the pending reality. Because Ginny is so much more than just a gifted musician, she picked up on this too. When she returned with Ayumu 2 days later, a transformation had taken place within my niece. Ginny had gotten Aaron to tell her a musical memory of her father. And Ginny and Ayumu turned this memory into a musical outlet for all of us that we will always remember and cherish. My niece found a way to tell her father through music on the day he died how much she loved him and had always loved him. She was able to do this only because the hospice in our hometown employs a gifted, MSU-trained clinical music therapist. That is how big music therapy has become. Now, my last viewpoint from the outside is one that I think you will all agree with. It is that despite the nearsighted administration, MSU is still great. Go Spartans! Believe me, no one's blood is greener than mine. My father made sure of that. I want MSU to stay great, and MSU needs music therapy to do that. Music therapy is a growing, vital career field, and MSU needs to stay involved and to be on the cutting edge of this field to remain the great land-grant institution it has always been. I know you've been hearing about your history, and like me, you are thankful for the visionaries who came before you, who stuck their necks out to create a career path for musicians that connects them to the greater world. Music therapy is so connected now that MSU has no choice but to keep the program. If you feel ready to convince everyone of this, to help us find our new neighborhood, then MSU needs you too. My family and I want music therapy to survive at MSU for our dad. Our dad would want music therapy to survive for the students, present and future, and for the profession. Robert Unkefer would be so proud of the new directions and growth of his profession, and he would be so anxious to see what comes next. What comes next needs to happen at Michigan State University. Oh, and about this sweater reminds me of MSU music therapy. This sweater may not be refined, as overpriced as, say, cashmere, or, say, performance sweaters. But this sweater is warm and comforting. It is functional, bold, and spirited. It is not high maintenance. It is wash and wear. So it gets worn again and again. It is hard.